All right, we're at the Be Quiet Suite here at CES 2019, kicking things off right. I'm really excited, actually. We're doing things a little bit differently this year. First of all, they're showing off a brand new case. Sort of brand new. It's the Darkbase 700, but like you've never seen it before, because as you can see, it's in white. And they actually have this case, showing it off here at their suite, but I haven't seen an actual completed system in it. So you can only just sort of get an idea. You kind of have to imagine the rest. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to bring our own suite of hardware and actually do a build inside of this brand new magnificent case for you guys to see what a finished product could potentially look like. So we've got some pretty good hardware in store. I say we just get started, and I'll just sort of talk about what I'm doing and where we're going with this build as we go about it. So you know what, let's prep the motherboard first. You can see we've got an X399 Asus ROG Zenith Extreme, which means we're going Threadripper, baby. We'll be doing an Intel build later this week as well, so I figured I'd switch it up and show AMD some love. Yeah, we're doing a crazy build today. This is the 2970WX, 24 core, 48 thread CPU. No big deal. I haven't even unboxed this yet. This alone is worth its own unboxing video. AMD sent this to me. That was just for you guys. You get that one for free. AMD sent this to me, and I've been dying to get it open and just test it out and just do something with it. I just haven't had the time until now, which is crazy, because usually CES is the 1 week of the year where I have the least amount of time to do anything. This is all just working out beautifully. So I just, look at the unboxing. There was a whole team that was just devoted to, what's the unboxing experience gonna be for the 2970WX? And this is it, people. Let's get this guy out. I just don't want to drop it. Pull a Linus here. Okay, let's first open up the socket. And they've even labeled it for dummies like me, so you can go, okay, so if you want to open it, you go 3, 2, 1. 3's right here. Oh, it looks like it's already loose. Someone's been in this board. It's probably me. Pop that guy off. Whew. I mean, the TR4 socket is definitely the funnest socket to work with. It's the funnest CPU you'll ever install, as long as you don't damage anything. It's great. Look at that. Look at that. Beautiful. All right, and close 1, 2, 3. In the reverse order we came. Let's move on to the next step, which is installing our memory. I've really gone out of my way to impress you guys today, because we have not 16, not 32, but 64 gigs of G.Skill Trident Z RGB DDR4 3200 speed RAM. All right, make sure they're facing the right way. Don't want to damage these extremely expensive sticks. In they go. All right, next up, I say CPU cooler, which, hey, we're at like the perfect place to just freeload off of a CPU cooler. This is the Darkrock Pro 4 TR4 version. They made a specific model just for Threadripper. This is already a fantastic cooler from Be Quiet. Now it's got 250 watt plus TDP, which is the same TDP as the 2970WX. Now, there's a bunch of schools of thought for applying thermal paste to Threadripper. I'm gonna ignore all of them and just go straight down the middle here. Mounting screws. So we've got a crossbar here. The longer one goes on bottom, the shorter one on top, and you just screw them down. Screw them down to Chinatown, as Lyle would say. Make sure to remove the plastic peel on the bottom of the cold plate. Haha! I only removed half of it. Make sure that you remove all of it. That could have been really bad if I didn't notice and only half of it went off. Oh, and there's still a little bit here. Letting go is hard for some parts. Now this is a dual tower heatsink. You've got 2 fans as well, but the second fan that goes in the middle between the heat sinks isn't gonna come around until we've mounted it first, because you need to, it's sort of an order of operations here. So I've got the crossbar, another crossbar here that goes right over the cold plate. I love the screwdriver that Be Quiet includes. The handle's a little small, but it's got a magnetic tip and it's long enough to thread these screws down. These are really nice fans too. There's also rubber pads on the heat sinks themselves for reduced noise and vibration. All right, fans in, and then just got to screw in these little beauty caps. It looks like they've also included 4-pin PWM fan splitter for our 4-pin PWM fans. And I love how everything's sleeved in black. CPU cooler installed. Oh, this build is already looking good, and we haven't even mounted it in the case yet. The last thing we want to do here is install the M.2 drive before we actually mount the motherboard inside the chassis. So I've got a 960 Pro here. 512 gigs. So we've pulled out from our motherboard box a DIMM.2 card. It's basically a little PCB. It's got 2 M.2 slots on it, one on either side, and it slots into what looks to be a DIMM slot. It's just been rewired to accept M.2 NVMe PCI Express drives. So I actually don't have a little screwdriver for mounting M.2 drives, so I'm gonna do this by hand like a boss, which is really not that difficult to do. That's perfect. That looks great. All right, we're gonna mount this sucker in here, just like we would a stick of memory. Boom. Our motherboard is fully prepped. So we're gonna go ahead and mount it into the Darkbase 700 White Dish. Beautiful tempered glass side panel. I'm gonna put this aside. So we've got pre-installed standoffs, and we of course have pre-installed I/O shield on the Zenith Extreme. So we're gonna mount it in like so. Just make sure to line it up. Now, even though we're mounting an air cooler in here, this can support up to 360 millimeter radiators. So if you're doing liquid cooling, you're good on that as well. Now, if you guys are wondering if there's any technical changes about this white version, there isn't. But they have changed, apart from the white exterior and interior, the actual tempered glass side panel is no longer tinted, which I think is a great call because you can see your parts better. I've never been a huge fan of the tinted look. Just give me glass, unfiltered. It's like, what's the point, you know? What's the point of making something see-through and then tinting it so that it's harder to see through? You still get that option for an inverted motherboard layout, which I think is awesome. I'm actually a huge fan of the inverted look. It also kind of helps, you know, depending on what kind of airflow goals you have. Sometimes inverted can actually work in your favor. So next up, we've got the power supply. They didn't have all the options in the booth. A lot of the power supplies right now, especially the higher end ones, are in use. So we're using a 650 watt, it's a straight Power 11. Great, fantastic unit. I'd probably go with something a little bit higher though for a 24 core Threadripper CPU, and of course the GPU that we'll be putting in shortly. However, fully modular. Yeah, 80 plus gold. Gold, I love gold. One pro tip that The Verge did get right is to always screw with confidence. And that looks pretty confident to me. Power supply installed. So we've got these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little panels. They actually serve sort of a dual purpose. You could remove them completely and actually put in one of the trays, one of these trays, 3.5-inch mounts. So mechanical drives, whatever, you can put 5 of them here. You can also mount 2 more 3.5-inch drives underneath the power supply basement. So that's an option, or you can actually pop them out slightly to make room for passing cables through. And that's actually what we're gonna do because we've got our 24 pin here. There we go. Also, you guys probably noticed that there are cable routing grommets, rubber grommets behind the board, but this is an EATX board, which this case obviously supports. If you had a smaller board, you'd obviously be able to use those cable grommets as well. So this isn't the only cable routing option, we're just using it because we have a bigger board. 8-pin EPS coming through. They just have a full-blown slot for freely routing cables through. It's a very wide slot that spans the entire width of the case pretty much, so it makes it really easy to route cables. Oh, I forgot that our 8-pin's actually way over there to the right. Now, because this is Threadripper and we're dealing with such a high core count, we should actually be putting 2 of these cables in here. So we need another 8-pin EPS cable, which I don't know if our straight Power 650 will have one of those because it's really not designed to handle CPUs on this scale. Again, this is a demo. So I've brought along with me a Gigabyte Aorus RTX 2080. The fans, the LEDs on these fans it's kind of like unlike any other card on the market. It is worth pointing out that this case also does have 2 vertical slots right here. So it could natively support vertically mounted GPUs. However, again, because this card is so massive, it would technically fit. You know what, we gotta do it. We gotta do it. I mean, well, I don't know though. It's a form versus function thing here, because if we mount it this way, it puts the fans awfully close to the side panel, and that's going to choke the airflow. So you know what, guys? We're going horizontal. The cooler is quite big. We can't actually access the top PCIe slot, so we're going to go with the second one. I can't believe I didn't point this out yet, but the case comes included with 2 of Be Quiet's very own Silent Wings 3 140mm fans. You get one at the intake at the front and one at the rear. You guys can probably get a better look of the back side of the case here. A couple things to point out. Here's our PWM fan controller, very nicely stapled to the back of the motherboard tray. Plenty of room for long power supplies. And of course, you could even remove this drive kidge, I believe, which has, again, support for 2 3.5-inch or 2.5-inch drives. You can remove that completely. It would also open up more room for thicker radiators at the front of your case, should you be mounting rads there. We also have 1, 2, 3 more slots for 2.5-inch drives. Lots of tie-down points for cables, and a very generous cutout for your CPU cooler. We have a 4-pin RGB connector, which is going to light up the front of the case. You also get about 1.5 inches, it looks like, of space between the motherboard tray and the side panel for extra cable managing. Sound dampening material. All right, here it is. Let's see if I can still build a computer and make it turn on. beautiful. I love it. Someone actually pointed out, one of the Be Quiet reps pointed out that you get some really nice illumination here. That's just courtesy of the RGB implementation on the motherboard. It actually looks really nice. There is an RGB button, I believe, as well. Aha! You can switch between several different colors. I'm gonna go with pink. I like pink. So if you guys are interested in getting your hands on one of these cases, it's gonna be available in February, right around the corner, but limited release. So 3,000 units will be made in total. We have unit 2,750 out of 3,000. And you can see here the badge is actually, it's got an adhesive backing. It's now separated from the case, so you can actually put it anywhere you want. I think this would be a good option right here, wherever you want to put it, or you don't have to put it at all. So it's actually going to be available for about $10 more than the original Dark Base 700. I believe the original was $179, so this is going to be $189. A very small price to pay for the lovely white option that you see here. So altogether, still the great, same fantastic case that you're used to, but now in white.